He's here, but he made him early.
Sound. I don't know if I can get on the other side.
Everybody step back a little bit. I want to know who's here. Are there students from Einstein here? Are there students from BCC here today? Are there students from Blair High School? Are there students from Churchill High School here today? Are there students from Richard Montgomery here today? There's only 3 schools. 3 schools. Well, this is a pretty impressive turnout for 3 schools. So, you guys, I saw on TV one of our friends in Florida, a high school student, come out and say, either you are with us or you against us. And I came out of my office to say, I am with you 100. And I want you to know that America's high school students are leading a revolution against political complacency and collusion with the NRA. And I want you to know that you are not only acting in solidarity with the students from Parkland, Senior Emma Gonzalez, and David Hogg, and Cameron Caskey, and Carly Novell, and Alfonso Calderon, but you are acting in the finest tradition of America's young people who have always stood up to change America when nobody else would do it. And in the early 1960s, that's all right, that's all right. So, you guys, in the early 1960s, when there was a regime of fear in the South and Jim Crow apartheid through large parts of the country, it was high school students, it was college students who sat in at the lunch counters and desegregated America. Your generation did that back in the 1960s. And 3 of them went to Mississippi in 1964, Schwerner, Cheney, and Goodman, to register voters to desegregate Mississippi, and they were killed for what they did. They spilled their blood. You are marching in the spirit of Schwerner, Cheney, and Goodman and the civil rights movement that changed America. You are doing the same thing today. Today, you are doing the same thing. And it was young people who stopped the Vietnam War in the 1960s with their protests and their action. And one of them in 1965, named Mary Beth Tinker, wore a black armband to school in protest of the Vietnam War, and she was suspended. And they said she couldn't come back to school until she removed her armband, and she refused to do it. She took her case all the way up to the Supreme Court across the street. And you know what the court said? The court said neither teachers nor students shed their First Amendment rights at the schoolhouse gate, and neither do you. You guys, after the Newtown massacre, after the massacre of 20 school children in Connecticut at Sandy Hook, the state of Maryland took a stand. We passed a ban on high-capacity magazines. We passed a ban on military-style assault weapons. We required compulsory universal registration of all guns with fingerprint licensing. We fought the NRA in Maryland, and we won! And they said it violated the Fourth Amendment, and the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals said it didn't, and the Supreme Court let that decision stand. So don't let anybody tell you that we can't have common sense gun safety in America. We can. We did it in Maryland.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Human Service News and Information. I'm Hassan Rashid, your host, and I'll be here with you for possibly 25 more minutes. It's excellent being here with you, and it's an awful great achievement to come into your lives like we do here to look at CCTV. With that, once again, I extend an international cordial greetings out to you, and that is a greeting of peace. Peace be unto you. Okay, the opening video was a depiction of a slight depiction, a short, a brief depiction of what has just transpired down in Washington, D.C. past week, or was that past weekend? That was the big the big rallies all over the United States in protest of these weapons. Students, especially students, came out and they're concerned about future shootings in the schools, the school system in the United States. So that was just one of the rallies that took place throughout the United States. I guess it was one of the biggest ones, which that was in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. We're going to try to get back to that video again, but I just want to bring to your attention that's what's happening across America. Students are worried about these gun laws, gun control, etc., etc. They want safe environments to bring themselves up through the educational system, etc., etc., etc. And you know, it's a lot of shooting going on, and you know, there's a great need for it to stop, and I'm for stopping it. And so, I guess one of the methods that you can use, or options that you have, is to protest at the offices of your elected officials. Okay, that's a local, state, and national elected officials. Don't be ashamed to do the research, look them up, find their office, and call them. Give them a call. Better yet, pay them a visit. Walk their let me collect my thoughts on. Make an appointment to visit them at their offices and tell them something's got to be done about this, all this wild shooting, okay? All these unnatural catastrophes in schools, hotels, motels, plazas, theaters or cinemas, etc., etc. You name it. There's a big list of all these crazy, mad shootings going on throughout the United States, and not only the United States, all over the world. It has to be stopped. Okay, once again, I'm Hassan Rashid, and this is your Human Service News and Information. Right now, I'd like to take time to bring attention to a few things that's happening right here at CCTV. Okay, as you know, the election for the Board of Directors is on here at CCTV, and we have just passed the we just came out of the nomination period. You know, nomination forms turn in, so I guess all the nominees are, I guess, to have that straight now. But so the next big thing in line for that relates to the CCTV's Board of Elections will happen on April 24th. And that's the annual meeting. Board nominees will present themselves to membership for consideration, and a vote will be held. So if you come to the annual meeting, I'm sure you'll be hearing more about that between now and April 24th. You'll find out who has been nominated and for what positions here at CCTV. So that's April 24th. And if you'd like additional information on that annual meeting, that's when you have the nominees and much more. There's a lot of entertainment, a lot of good food, and you should be there too. That's 617-661-6900. If you like additional information on that, that's the annual meeting, okay, here at CCTV. Okay, March 30th, using Google Maps, the street views for navigating around town with Google. That'll be here. Finding your way around town has never been easier than with the Google Maps. Learn how to use this Google application with gusto at Google Insiders. Takes you through a variety of features, including getting directions, receiving real-time traffic updates, receiving the best public transportation options, and travel duration estimates, as well as the ability to see photos of your destination prior to your arrival. So please contact Michael Rodriguez at 617-401-4058, or you can email Michael at cctvcambridge.org for more information. Registration is required. So, and there's also a computer lab for people 50 plus, 50 and over. It's Monday and Thursday from 1 to 3 p.m. So if you'd like to, okay, those over 50 can come to the computers for people over 50 on Mondays from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. to receive computer training support for patient and knowledgeable volunteers. The program is designed to meet the needs and interests of each participant. People with varying levels of computer experience are welcome to attend. So that's each Monday. Each Monday at 2 p.m. the Computers with the Lab interns usually offer a short 15 to 20 minutes mini lesson. Lessons covered other topic from social media to internet service engines to external hard drives. So 1 to 3 p.m. Monday through Thursday. So if you'd like to call, enroll, and register, registration is required. So you can call 617 again, 617-661-6900, or Michael, once again, Michael at cctvcambridge.org. Okay, let's see, what else happened? Okay, I was checking some things out, browsing the internet, and I come across this article, and it's strange to me. I don't see why anyone would want to do this, but I don't know they're doing it. But okay, the title of the article was, it's time to stop saying the safety net. Okay, now you know what the safety net is. Well, I'm going to go into it in a minute, but there's three main human service organizations in the United States. The three biggest, they say the three biggest human service organizations in the United States, and they've gotten together and organized a campaign to stop saying safety net. Okay, so it doesn't sound right to me, but I'm going to share this with you. Okay, the three largest groups representing human service agencies and nonprofits say the phrase hurts their work and society at large. For decades, politicians, the media, and the public have used a simple phrase to describe government programs that help people afford necessities like food, housing, health care, the safety net. Okay, so that's what it's about. It's help for people, help people afford necessities like food, housing, and health care, and that's a safety net. Now, three national groups that represent public agencies and nonprofits that administer those benefit programs say it's time to retire the phrase. Okay, for a lot of people, safety net can feel like that deeper end of the system that is more costly, that people say on for a long period of time. That's really not the case, says Tracy Waring Evans, President and CEO of the American Public Human Service Association, which stopped using the term several years ago. The Alliance for Strong Families and Communities and the National Human Service Assembly, which both represents nonprofits and human services, have also dropped the phrase from their communications, moving away from the phrase as part of a larger push to show health and human services if it's delivered effectively, are supposed to work on the ground, says Evan. It turns out a lot of people don't know the full scope of who human services actually help. When Frameworks Institute, a research firm, asked people if they have heard the term human services and what they thought it meant, most guessed that it was related to nonprofits and government services helping the poor. They did not associate such organizations with other adults, children, or persons with disabilities, and until asked about these three groups explicitly, according to Frameworks. Polling also showed that language can shape whether the public supports a human service program, supports a human services program. For example, advocating for a Medicaid, a government health insurance program for the poor, often refers to it as welfare, which has less public support than Medicaid. A January survey by the Kaiser Family Foundation, for instance, shows that 32% of adults support reducing spending for welfare programs, but only 12% support reduced spending for Medicaid. Okay, that's likely because while most Americans support Medicaid, the term welfare carries negative connotations. Ask whether welfare benefits give poor people a chance to stand on their own 2 feet and get started again, or make poor people dependent and encourage them to stay poor. 54% say it makes people dependent, according to a 2016 survey by the Los Angeles Times and the American Enterprise Institute, a right learning think tank. Okay, so dropping the term safety net is part of the human services group's broader strategy to get the public and the policymakers to think of human services as investments in the community that boost the economy, reduce crime, improve public health. For example, child participation in the food stamp program has been linked to better health in adulthood, such as reduced incidence of obesity, high blood pressure, and diabetes. And some evidence suggests that Head Start reduces the likelihood that children will be arrested or charged with crimes as adults. Okay, so you get the drift now. These three human service groups, they want to drop the term safety net. They want everyone to accept that the term should be dropped. I don't know. It's just confusing to me. I think that's all it is. Just another element of confusion. Okay, we're gonna, if we hear some more about that, progress of their efforts to get that term dropped, the safety net, I'll be sure to share it with you. You bet you'll hear it here at Human Service News and Information. Okay, there's another thing that's coming up this week. There's the housing bond bill that's right here in Massachusetts and the State House, and I think it's they're going to vote on this. There's going to be a big vote on it. I think it's either today, Thursday, or Friday. But I want to tell you something about this. A bond bill. It's in the Senate. The Senate number is S-2368, and it is an act financing the production and preservation of housing for low and moderate income residents. And the bill was sponsored by Representative Kevin Honan and Senator Linda Dorsina Forey. Okay, the housing bill, as reported out by the Senate Ways and Means, invests $1.8 billion through the capital budget in affordable housing over 5 years, providing critical funding to produce, preserve, and modernize public and affordable housing in communities across the Commonwealth. The legislation also expands and extends the Massachusetts Low-Income Housing Tax Credit and Community Investment Tax Credit, extend the Brownsfield Tax Credit, the Housing Development Incentive Program. Specifically, the House Bond Bill authorized the following. Okay, I'm going to give you a little insight into the specific programs and how the housing bond bill authorized. But this is S-2368, so you should call your elected officials, state representatives, legislators, and senators, and tell them to support S-2368, an act financing the production and the preservation of housing for low and moderate income residents. Okay, so now these are the things that's in the housing bonds bill. It authorizes the following: Affordable Housing Trust Fund of $400 million. That's what they want put in it. Capital Improvement and Preservation Fund, $125 million. Okay, Commercial Area Transit Node Program, $50 million. Community-based housing, $55 million. Facility Consolidated Fund, $65 million. Home Modification Loan Program, $60 million, okay? Excuse me for a minute. Okay, there's the Housing Innovation Fund, and they're want authorize $100 million. The Housing Stability Fund, $150 million. Public Housing, $600 million. Public Housing Demonstration Program, $50 million. Workhouse Incentive, $100 million. Early Education Out of School Time, $45 million. Massachusetts Low Income Tax Credit, there's no, I don't think, there's no set figures that they want, I guess, appropriated in this Massachusetts Low Income Housing. Let's see, Housing Bond Expense Program, 20 plus, residents authorization $5 million for total annual allocation of $25 million. Okay, that's the Community Investment Tax Credit. There's no figures on that here. Brownsville Tax Credit, there's no figures on that here. Housing Development Center Program, no figures on that here. Mass Housing Authorization. So all those titles you just heard me read and the amounts, accompanying amounts, those are what the Housing Bond Bill authorizes. That's bill number S2368, and Act Financing Production and Preservation of Housing for Low and Moderate Income residents. So I guess you can get on your telephone, call your elected officials, or email them and tell them you want them to support Senate Bill 2368. Okay, we move on. Okay, are you prepared for Massachusetts Pregnant Workers Fairness Act to go into effect on April 1st? That's less than a week away. That's the Massachusetts Pregnant Workers Fairness Act to go into effect. Okay, that's April 1st. It's also Easter, and it's also April Fool's Day. Okay, as the April 1st, 2018 effective date, the Massachusetts Pregnant Workers Fairness Act draws near. It is time to ensure that company policies and practices are in compliance with the new law. Within the last month, the Massachusetts Commission Against Discrimination has issued interpretative guidance, including initial guidance issued January 23rd, 2018, and updated guidance issued February 27, 2018, which offers additional insight into the requirements of the new law as previously discussed here. And although the full text of guidance should be reviewed in full employment, employers should take particular note of the following details. Notice requirements. Employees are reminded that they are required to provide employees with written notice of their rights, whether in the form of handbook, pamphlets, or some other means under the MPWFA. That's Massachusetts Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. That's acronym for Massachusetts Pregnant Workers Fairness Act. That's the MPWFA. Rule April 1st, 2018. That's April 1st, 2018. Is fast approaching. Employees are advised to work closely with councils to ensure compliance with this notice requirement after April 1st. Employees must also provide written notice to new employees that or prior to the beginning of their employment, and when within 10 days of received notification that an employee is pregnant. Okay, conditions related to pregnancy and reasonable accommodations, frequency and duration, breaks to break or express breast milk. Okay, those are just some of the other items that are in this authorized in this Massachusetts Workers Fairness Act. Okay, so you'll be hearing much more about that. I'm sure you will. Okay, so there are many other things that I'd like to discuss with you that have transpired within the last period of time that I saw you, or that I've been on here with you. But eventually we'll get to them. But right now I want to put the special emphasis on the fact that this is still Women's History Month. Okay, National Women's History Month. Right now, yeah, this is still Women's History Month. What is the date? 28, 27, 28? But it's still Women's History Month, and I'd like to put some emphasis on that. Take us out. Wind the program, wrap the program up with a video, special video on Women's History Month for your pleasure if you're a woman. Okay, I will tell you, keep your nose clean, pants straight, and don't forget to assist someone in need of your help. Okay.
Did you know that the U.S. suffrage movement was the largest bloodless revolution in world history, enfranchising more people than any other law or effort? How about that the progressive movement from 1890 to 1920 was the greatest period of grassroots social reform in the history of the world, and that most reforms were carried forward by women and their clubs and organizations? Well, whether you answered yes or no, there will be plenty of opportunity this month to learn even more about the work of women in creating our nation, because March is Women's History Month. All month long, people all over the country will explore the many historical contributions of women throughout our history, something the National Women's History Museum does all year round. This Women's History Month is particularly special because it marks the 100th anniversary of International Women's Day on March 8th, which largely influenced the creation of the first ever Women's History Week, and later